چشات آوازه سازه که احساسم رو میسازه نگات بی حد و اندازه.
First step to making Koloucheh Fouman is getting your yeast started. We're going to do that right now. You're going to start with a 1/4 cup of warm water, warm to the touch, not too hot or else you're going to kill off your yeast. You got a 1/2 tablespoon of yeast and 1 tablespoon of sugar. We're going to mix those up a little bit and set them off to the side. We're going to need about 10 minutes to get going. Step is we're going to melt some butter. We got 3/4 of a cup of butter that we're going to combine with some milk. I like to use 1/2 and 1/2 instead of milk. Adds a little extra fat. Makes things nice and tasty. We got our 3/4 cup melted butter now. We're going to mix in a 1/4 cup of milk. Just give that a little swirl. Set it off to the side to cool for a little while. You do not want to add it to the eggs hot. Our next step is to beat some eggs. While the butter and milk is cooling off, we're just going to get our eggs going. We got 2 eggs. Whoop. Fish that out of there. 1/3 of a cup of sugar. 1/4 cup of yogurt. I'm using whole milk Greek yogurt. The recipe didn't really specify what kind, so I imagine you can just use whatever. Again, I like the whole milk Greek yogurt, a little more fat in the recipe. Just helps things stay nice and moist. Just gonna give this a little mix now. Add the butter and milk to our mix here. It's cooled off, so it's ready to go in. Give it another little mix. Next thing we're going to add is our yeast mix. Pour it right in here. And again, just mix it in a little. And we're ready to get our dry ingredients together. It's time to get our dry ingredients together. If you've been paying attention, you'll notice that our flour container has magically filled itself up. 500 grams of flour or 4 cups. If you have a scale, I definitely recommend using it for baking. Baking is much more of a science than an art like cooking is. And the more precise you get the wet to dry ingredient ratio, the better. 400 and 500. And then we also have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon or 1/4 teaspoon of salt, excuse me. And we're just going to whisk those together a little bit. And then our next action will be to sift them. If you don't have a wire mesh sieve to sift them, don't worry about it. I don't think it's that big of a deal in terms of how your product will come out. But you're just going to take your ingredients and pour them into the sieve. Give it a little bang on the side. Make sure you get any clumps out. Make it nice and airy. Same with the other half. Once you've done that, it's time to add your ingredients to the wet stuff and give it a mix. So we're going to mix our dry ingredients in now. We're going to change out this piece for the dough hook. We're going to pour about half our dry ingredients in first, not everything all at once. Once we've done that, we're going to get it started. Add the rest of our dry ingredients here. Don't mind the cloud of flour flying everywhere. We're just going to keep mixing this till it's not sticky anymore. You should have a nice soft dough. So once you get to this point, we're pretty much there. Just watch your dough. You can see how it's stretching. You don't want to overwork it, but you want it to be nice and soft and not sticky. Now that our dough is nice and soft and no longer sticky, we're going to take it out of here. I have a greased bowl. I'm going to take it out. Give it a little bit of a shape. And then pop it down in our bowl. We're going to cover it up, set it aside for 2 hours to rise. I'll leave it here on the stove. It's already preheated. And let it rise up. Should double in size in that 2 hours. Now that the dough is risen, we're going to get ready and make our filling for the kloucheh. First thing we're going to do is add 2 tablespoons of butter. Once that melts, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. Now that the butter is melted, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. We're going to let that brown. Helps get the floury taste out. Just keep stirring until it's a nice brown color. We're going to remove it from the heat. And then we're going to add our spices, sugar, and walnuts. Go ahead and add 1 cup of ground walnuts, 3/4 cup of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1.5 tablespoons of nutmeg. Mix that in. We're ready to fill our kloucheh now. As you can see, our dough has doubled in size. We're just going to punch it down. Okay, we punched it down. We're just going to roll it out onto the counter here where we need tangerine size dough balls. Form that into a nice ball, roll it in a few times just to get the ball going. Flatten it out here. You can use a rolling pin, you can flatten it out by hand. I think it's a little easier to flatten it out by hand. 1 tablespoon of filling in there. Pull up the sides. Turn it over. And then re-flatten it out again. Once you've done that, transfer it over to your pan, where it'll put a little design on it once we get them all made. So you filled your klouche, you're just going to add a little design to them. Just press that in gently. Oop. You don't need to press too hard. My lovely assistant has already done most of these for me. So. Just needs to be an indentation, really. Top the klouche, we're going to first get a little boiling water here. We're going to add some saffron. And I seem to have lost my whisk. Well, we'll just stir it with this. Stir that in so it mixes in well. 1 egg. That up a little. Some milk. It's going to be a teaspoon. Just going to measure it out in here a little bit. Like about a teaspoon, give or take. The measurements on this aren't quite as important. And then you're just going to add a little bit of the saffron water here. Once you've done that, come over here to your klouche. Give them a good brushing. Once you've brushed your klouche with the egg, and that's going to give you a nice golden brown top there, we're going to top it with some seeds. And pardon me if I don't know what they are. What are they called?
Black seeds.
Black seeds. But is there a name in Persian for them?
Dunisia.
Dunisia.
It's the same thing as black seeds.
Okay. And that's just for decoration. Doesn't really add a lot of flavor to it or anything. You're just going to go in that 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. I always set my timer for a few minutes earlier just in case. Don't want them to burn. Alright, our 20 minutes are up, or give or take a couple minutes. I think it took about 22 minutes. Time for the big reveal here. There they are, nice and beautiful golden brown. We're going to give one of these a cut and see how it is. It's pretty hot coming out of the oven. go, you can see the inside. Nice and steamy. Delicious. Thanks for watching. Like, sub, and share. We'll be back with another video soon. That's it for All In Bit Cooking.